This is lesson 9.7. This lesson is only for honors classes. Well, that's a problem. We're not responding. Okay, there we go. The law of sines. So if we want to do trigonometry, if it's not a right triangle, we have to use something called the law of sines or the law of cosines. The law of sines is if we're given either two angles and a side where the side is between them, or two angles and a side where the side is not between them. So basically, if we're given more angles than sides, we're going to use the law of sines. There is an instance that we could use it with SSA. We will not be doing that in this class. You'll see that in pre-calc. But for law of sines, we're going to do the sine of an angle A over the side A across from it equals the sine of an angle B over the side B across from it. If I was using C, it would have just been C and C here. But it's going to be the sine of an angle over the side across from it equals the sine of an angle over the side across from it. And it's a proportion we can cross multiply and solve. So in this picture, it says describe the given information and then find the value of x. So I'm given these two angles and the side between them. So my given information is ASA. So I'm going to, if these are the two sides I am either given or looking for, I know I need to use the x, so the 50 is across from it. Sine of 50 over x will equal sine of angle C over 6. So I actually need to know what angle C is as well. So if I add together the 57 and the 50 and take that away from 180, I get 73 degrees. So it's sine of 73 over 6. So we're going to cross multiply this. X times sine of 73 equals 6 times sine of 50. And then I'm going to divide both sides by the sine of 73. And I can plug this into my calculator. I'm going to do 6 times sine of 50. I'm going to hit enter, and then I'm going to hit divided by sine of 73. And I get 4.81. For example 2, so this time I'm given this angle, and the side I'm given is over here. So that's AAS this time. It's asked me to find the side AB, so I need to know angle C to go over that. So sine of whatever angle C is over x, and then this is my other side, so that's opposite the 85, so sine 85 over 9. So let's just find out what angle C would have been. 85 plus 29 is 114. 180 minus 114 is 66 degrees. So I'm going to cross multiply here, and I'm going to end up with x equals 9 times sine of 66 divided by sine of 85. I skipped a step there. So 9 times sine of 66 divided by sine of 85, and we get 8.25. So here's one for you to try. Pause if you'd like. Answers are posted online. If we're given more sides than angles, so either SSS or SAS, we're going to use the law of cosines. And the law of cosines looks like the Pythagorean theorem at first. C squared equals A squared plus B squared. But then we have minus 2AB cosine C. This C and this C are different. One represents a side, one represents an angle. So the lowercase c they're using here represents the side of the figure, and across from it is the angle that they're using for the cosine. The angle that's in question will either be the one they give us or the one they're asking us to find, and the side we're calling C will be opposite from that angle. So for example 3, we could see that we are given two sides and the angle between them, so we are given SAS. If the angle I'm given is here, then this is my side C. So I'm going to start with x squared equals C squared equals A squared plus B squared minus 2 times A times B times the cosine of the angle C, which in this case is 45. The SAS problems are the easier ones because the variable is already on one side by itself. That means I could type the other side entirely into my calculator. So I could do 11 squared plus 25 squared minus 2 times 11 times 25 times cosine 45. And I'm going to get x squared equals 357.09 about. And now I could take the square root of this. I'm going to show you right now how you do this on your calculator. You can do the square root of an answer. So we had 11 squared plus 25 squared minus 2 times 11 times 25 times cosine 45. And that's how we got our 357.09. So now I'm going to take the square root. Down here next to enter is an answer button. We're going to hit second answer. And it's going to take the last thing our calculator solved and got. So it's taking the square root of that number. And that's our 18.9. All right, here's another SAS problem because these are our two sides, the angle between it. If this is the angle I'm given, opposite it is my side that's C. So we're going to have x squared equals 15 squared plus 19 squared minus 2 times 15 times 19 times the cosine of 125. Again, all at once into the calculator. 15 squared plus 19 squared minus 2 times 15 times 19 times cosine of 125. So I get x squared equals 912.94. Square root the answer, and I get 30.21. Here's one for you to try. Pause. Answers are posted online. So for example 5, I'm given all three sides. So this is an SSS problem. The angle I'm looking for is here, meaning the side across from it is my C. So this is going to be 43 squared equals, and now 34 and 50 are my A and my B. So this means 50, even though it was the biggest side, is not my C value. The other thing this means is I'm going to have cosine x. So now the variable is over here. I cannot put this whole thing in my calculator at once. I could do 43 squared, and I get 1849. I could do this part together, 34 squared plus 50 squared, because there's no variable for anything there. But now this part is attached to cosine x, so I could do this together, but it's still going to be attached to cosine x. So 2 times 34 times 50 is going to be negative 3,400 cosine x. These two things don't get combined because one has the cosine x, one does not. So I'm going to take away the 3656 from both sides. So now I have negative 1807 equals negative 3,400 cosine x. I still want to get x alone, but it's still with the cosine. I'm going to get rid of the negative 3,400 by dividing both sides by that. The negatives will cancel, but I'm going to leave this as 1807 over 3,400 equals the cosine of x. That means x is really the inverse cosine of 1807 over 3,400. So the SSS problems are much more complicated, much more annoying. I'm going to do inverse cosine of my fraction, and I get 57.9. So x is 57.9 degrees. Here's another one, another SSS problem. This is the angle I'm looking for, so opposite it is my C value. So we're going to have 27 squared equals 5 squared plus 24 squared minus 2 times 5 times 24 times cosine x. So the 27 squared is 729. The 5 squared plus the 24 squared is 601. The 2 times 5 times 24 is 240, and that is attached to cosine of x. I'm going to take away my 601, and I get 128 equals negative 240 cosine x. Divide, so I'm going to get 128 over negative 240 equals cosine x. And now I'm going to take the inverse cosine. Be careful because there is a negative sign here. It's best to use, see if I could show you, the negative sign. So we would be doing inverse cosine of 128 divided by negative 240. Do not use the minus sign, use the negative sign. And I get 122.23. So notice this was an obtuse angle. We had a negative here that we did the inverse cosine of, and we got an obtuse angle. When I did the inverse cosine of a positive fraction, I got an acute angle. So there's a difference. All obtuse angles will be starting as a negative in the fraction. All acute angles will be starting as the positive in the fraction. So here is a try problem to do. Pause if you'd like. Answers are posted online. So this is an extra try here as well. Describe the given information, determine if you would use law of sines or law of cosines, and then solve for the, do not solve, sorry. Determine whether you would use the law of sines or cosines to solve, but do not bother solving. The answers for this are also posted online, and that is the end of section 9.7.